Hi, good morning again. Once again, my name is Robert Compton. I'm from the Bureau of Indian Affairs over here in Portland, Oregon. I'm the range specialist. I've been here since 2015. I'm also a member of the Eastern Shoshone tribe from the Wind River Indian Reservation in Wyoming. So I appreciate the opportunity to share a brief overview of some of the BIA's trust responsibilities and funding with you guys this morning. So let's get to it real quick. If I can get this slide to change, there we go. BIA was established back in March of 1824 as part of the War Department. Just last month, BIA celebrated its 200th anniversary as the oldest bureau of the Department of Interior. The BIA has also encountered a complex and enduring history in our federal relations with the tribe since then. But it was only since the past 50 years have tribal members have been able to advocate for policies that promote tribal governance and self-determination, as you can see with our trust responsibility slide there for providing trust services to the tribal members and its communities. Here in the U.S., we have 12 regions. Approximately about 56 million acres are deemed as tribal and reservation lands, with 574 federal recognized tribes, and with many tribes still trying to get that status, which is a long process to do. Here in the Northwest, it encompasses Washington, Oregon, Idaho, west part of Montana, which is on the Flathead Reservation, and the most southern tip of Alaska, which is the Metlakatla Reserve. We have 45 tribes here, and out of those 45 tribes, we have about 7 tribes that are deemed as rangelands, and they're all on the east side of the states, like Colville, Flathead, Fort Hall, Spokane, Umatilla, Warm Springs, and Yakima. One of our primary goals is to support tribes in transferring programs, services, and functions under the Indian Self-Determination Education Assistance Act, or the acronym. Those acronyms are huge sometimes. ISDEAA, the ISDA, and that which was enacted in 1975. And this act was allowed federal recognized tribes to opt for the BIA to provide services, or they had the opportunity to take over those programs under that ISDA agreement. For example, the 638 contract or the compact agreement. Here in the Northwest, out of the 45 tribes, we have, it's like a 50-50 ratio. 50% of them are contracted and 50% of them are compacted here in the Northwest. And I'm speaking on the range side of it, and we only actually have one BIA range program that's managed by the BIA, and one BIA program that has a co-op that's managed by both the tribe and the BIA. Based upon this annual funding agreement, which is the AFA, it's called, acronym is the AFA, this is where the tribes are allocated a tribal priority allocations, or a TPA funds, that they will receive each year based upon the agreement and the budget they established with the BIA. And beyond these funds, we have grants such as the endangered species and invasive species that we allocate to the tribes. But these funds are non-reoccurring and are competitive with other tribes. Some of the services here for the BIA is like the Land Title Records Program, which can be either compacted or contracted down at the tribal level, or the BIA can manage for them. And I think there's only 2 tribes that actually have that compacted down to the tribes at this time. LTR manages the intricate landscape of land ownerships and status on reservations. The evidence of the checkerboard ownership patterns on reservation maps. If you've ever seen a reservation map, you see all the checkerboards. It's very, very complex. It impacts the boundaries and the distribution of funds to these ownerships. So it was under the General Allotment Act of 1887 that these lands were divided up and allocated to individual tribal members. A good example is the one on the right there. You can see kind of the original landowner. When he passed, it passed to his equal family members, and then so forth with generations. And as today we look at it, we have a very complex fraction in Indian land that we have to manage for leases and permits. So you can see the challenge that they have. And on rangelands, we have tribal trust and we have allotments, as you can see right there. Another branch of the service, or the branch of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, is the Ag and Rangeland. Under the Range and Ag, we have a regulation, the 25 CFR 166. It manages the range portion of what we do on the reservation. Some of the tribes actually went a step beyond, which we highly recommend, is to create their own agricultural resource management plan or their own range plan to help them manage their best management practices. Some of the services we provide is obviously, you can see, is the range inventory and monitoring, range improvements, grazing permits, ag extension. We work with WSU and those folks on outreach educational materials, and noxious weeds falls underneath that program. And unfortunately, noxious weeds is not a recurring fund. It's a non-recurring, which doesn't come out every year, but it's competitive, like we're going to be seeing in a few slides. Noxious weeds is a very important part of our program. Primary function is to protect our trust lands. Here's some regulations under the of federal codes that directs us to manage these resources. The picture right there is Scott's thistle that was up in Colville a couple years ago. It seemed like someone just planted those things. Those are grown like 12 feet tall, 2-3 inch stalks. So pretty hard to manage sometimes if you don't have the resources. We always encourage working together with your local county weed boards and other partners, because we all know that weeds don't know any boundaries. So it's always a good idea to work with your partner across that fence line. This year, we sent out a proposal. It was due January 15th, which actually was the 16th, on these 5 proposal funds. One of them was the Conservation Law Enforcement Officer, which we were allocating $47,000 per officer, and this was good for 5 years. And then we'll have to re-advertise it again. The endangered species, which is we're allocating $6 million, but remember this is out for all the 12 regions, so $6 million for all the regions. Invasives was $12 million. Hatchery funds were $9 million, and tribal youth was $1.5 million. And this is all it required was you create a scope of work, a budget for the proposal, and in the future we're going to require tribal resolutions. In the past we kind of had a director a signature needed, but in the future they're going to be needed tribal resolutions to support this project. Just wanted to give you a snapshot of what we funded last year. Last year, we under the invasive species, we received 22 proposals at about $2.6 million, but we were only able to award 14 tribal proposals at 1.4. That treated like northern pike, European green crab. Our second pot of money was it was also invasive species, but it was geared for the terrestrial side of it, the noxious weed side of it. We received 8 and awarded 8 tribal proposals at about $810,000, and that was geared towards yellow star thistle and other species that they deemed priority on their state list as well as their tribal list. So we awarded last year. We awarded 22 projects at $2.2 million. I oversee the endangered species, so we received 26 proposals at 2.3, and we awarded 17 of those proposals at 1.4. Also, we have a non-base funds. We received and awarded 6 tribal proposals at $470,000, and this one here is geared towards range inventories, range management plans, range improvement projects. So if you have any of those things, it was mostly focused towards range programs. This year, 2024, we have not yet received notice of who was awarded yet, but we received 24 tribal proposals at $2.4 million. Same thing, like I said, we prioritize northern pike and European green crab as the priority, and all others kind of fall after those. Our terrestrial invasives, we received 11 tribal proposals at $1.1 million. So a total of about 35 tribal proposals. So I did talk to our tribal, our central office. It sounded like they have everything ranked by all regions. They're just waiting for the funding of how much we got funded. And once I know this, I will send out award letters. And I actually have another meeting end of this month, my spring range data call. If I know them by then, I'll let you guys know who received those awards, who has received those awards. Our endangered species, 30 tribal proposals at 2.8, and our non-base 6 proposals at 690. So like I said, we still haven't received notice of who got awarded for those projects yet. And once I do, I'll for sure make sure you guys know of them ASAP. So that's it for me on this one for the BIA. I'm always open. So if you have any questions, there's my contact number and my email. And Ashton Harper, she's our Northwest fish biologist. She helps tremendously on our invasive European green crab MAC group. And if you have any questions for her, and there's your point of contact. So There you go, Joey. Thank you guys for allowing me to share a little snapshot from us. Appreciate it.